If you love crazy WA drama, entitled neighbors, and jaw-dropping twists that will leave you speechless, then buckle up, because this story of how my neighbor Karen tried to kick me out of my own house is one you do not want to miss. And hey, before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss more wild real-life stories like this one. Now, let's get into the chaos. When I first decided to buy the little blue house at the end of Maplewood Lane, I knew the neighborhood had a homeowners association, but what I didn't know was that the house I bought was grandfathered out of the HOA because it was built before the association even existed, which meant while everyone else had to pay monthly dues, follow rigid guidelines about paint colors, yard decorations, and even how long their trash bins could sit out, I was completely free to live without their rules. That little detail didn't bother me, but it would end up driving my next-door neighbor Karen absolutely insane. From the day the moving trucks rolled up, she came storming out of her pristine beige house in yoga pants and a tight bun, clipboard in hand like some kind of suburban sheriff. "Excuse me," she snapped before I had even introduced myself, "you can't park that truck there. WA guidelines strictly forbid blocking the street longer than 15 minutes. I smiled politely and explained, "Actually, this property isn't in the WA, so we don't fall under those rules," thinking that would settle it. Her face turned red, like I had just told her I was planning to open a nightclub in the backyard. "That's impossible," she barked. "Every home on this street is in the HOA. But when I showed her the paperwork my realtor had given me, her eyes widened in disbelief. That was the exact moment she decided to declare war on me. At first it was small things, snide comments about how my garden hose wasn't coiled properly, or how my welcome mat was too colorful for the neighborhood's aesthetic. But then she escalated. She started taking pictures of my house every day, sending them to the WA board with long rants demanding they force me to comply. When the board reminded her I wasn't under their jurisdiction, she lost it even more. She began banging on my door demanding I attend meetings, claiming it was for the good of the community. I declined politely every time. That's when the screaming started. One morning as I left for work, she ran onto her porch and shouted, "You can't live here. This is my neighborhood, and I won't let you ruin it with your noncompliance." I thought she was bluffing, but soon I discovered she had filed multiple complaints with the city, accusing me of zoning violations, running a business out of my garage, even claiming my fence was too tall. Inspectors showed up week after week, only to find nothing wrong. One of them finally told me off the record, "We've been getting constant complaints from your neighbor." Honestly, it's harassment. That word, harassment, lit a fire in me. I started documenting everything. Every shout, every picture she took, every bogus complaint. At first, I planned to ignore her and enjoy my home, but things got darker. One night, I heard banging outside and found Karen ripping down the string lights I'd hung in my backyard. When I confronted her, she screamed that my cheap carnival lights lowered property values. I called the police, but she put on crocodile tears, claiming I had threatened her. Luckily, my security cameras caught the whole thing, and when the officers saw the footage, they gave her a stern warning. But that only made her more determined. She started rallying the WA against me, standing up at meetings with dramatic speeches about how my freedom endangered their entire community, painting me as some kind of outlaw. But here's where the twist comes in. Not everyone agreed with her. Some of my neighbors were secretly sick of her power trips. A few of them began dropping by, thanking me for standing up to her. One even confessed that Karen once fined them $200 for leaving a garden gnome in their yard. Slowly, a quiet alliance was forming. Karen, of course, noticed. She doubled down, printing flyers calling me a rule breaker, and stuffing them in everyone's mailboxes. She even wrote on the community Facebook page that I was destroying Maplewood's legacy with my outsider attitude. But then came her biggest mistake. She trespassed on my property while I was at work, spray painting, "Get out," on my backyard fence. This time, my cameras caught everything crystal clear. When I filed a police report, she was charged with vandalism. The WA board tried to distance themselves, claiming, "Karen doesn't speak for all of us," but the damage was done. Suddenly, everyone saw her true colors. At the next board meeting, instead of rallying support, she was shouted down by her own neighbors. But if you think this story ends with her backing off, oh no. Karen wasn't finished. She decided to take me to court. She filed a lawsuit claiming I had deceived the neighborhood by buying a non-HOA property, arguing that I should be forced into the association. Her lawyer looked just as embarrassed as I felt amused. The judge laughed her argument out of the courtroom, pointing out that the property's legal status had been clear for decades. Not only did she lose, but she was ordered to pay my legal fees. Now here's the ultimate twist. The same neighbors who had been quietly supporting me decided they'd had enough of her tyranny. They petitioned the HOA to remove her from the board, and in a dramatic vote, Karen was ousted. She went ballistic, screaming about conspiracies, threatening to sue everyone, until security had to escort her out of the meeting. After that, she became a pariah. She still lived next door, but her power was gone. The flyers stopped. The late-night screaming stopped. She sulked around her yard, glaring at me but saying nothing. And then one day, she was just gone. A for sale sign went up, and within a month, Karen and her family had packed up and vanished. Rumor has it she tried to pull the same stunts in another neighborhood, but thanks to the internet, her reputation followed her. As for me, life on Maplewood Lane finally became peaceful. The neighbors who had once been wary started inviting me to barbecues, and we even laughed about the whole saga. Some admitted that my presence actually inspired them to push back against the stricter HOA rules. One family painted their shutters a bright blue after years of being afraid to. Another finally put up those garden gnomes. It was like Karen's downfall gave everyone permission to breathe again. And the funniest part, my little blue house, the one she swore would destroy property values, ended up being appraised higher than hers had ever been. So the next time someone tells you HOA drama is harmless, just remember, one Karen's obsession nearly tore an entire street apart. But in the end, all she really did was expose her own madness and free a neighborhood from fear. And that, my friends, is why I'll never forget the day I bought a house not in the HOA, and the day Karen screamed, "You can't live here." Only to end up being the one who had to leave.